All right, ramblers, let's get rambling. I would like to ramble about Parisians and about the reputation which they carry with them. A reputation of unfriendliness and rudeness, obnoxiousness. Okay, at least that's kind of a widespread image that the world has about, well, indeed the French people as well, but specifically the Parisians. Well, I'm afraid that image is quite accurate in many instances, but it also has the problem of being limited to the service industry, basically. I mean, everybody has an anecdote, about being treated badly by a French waiter or a hotel staff. I mean, typically the French waiter, who comes at you with a long face, unwelcoming, and speaks French to you, speaks only French, and who will correct you if you try and speak French in return. I think that happens to many a visitor to Paris. But I mean, that's the service industry, like I said. That's a relationship between a customer and a worker. So it's a fake relationship. I'm not really interested into that. Although it did get much better lately. The situation is much better in the service industry compared to 20 years ago. Mainly or only for one reason, and that reason is the internet. Okay? TripAdvisor and all those rating websites which can crush your reputation in a matter of a few comments. Okay? And nobody, especially a business, especially a restaurant, a cafe, a hotel, none of those likes to have their reputation crushed. And so they've been growing wary of it, and they've been paying attention, and things are better now on that front. Which, like I said, is the front that most people are confronted with. Most people only will interact, whether they're tourists or businessmen or visitors, whatever, they will interact with those kind of Parisians. I'm interested in real Parisians, I don't know, in the remaining 9 or 10 million of them. I'm interested in knowing whether that reputation extends to them. And the quick answer is that it does. And I think I can speak on the subject as a credible source, because I've been to Paris quite a number of times over the years, 20 or 30 times probably. I've interacted with different kind of Parisians, and indeed, as we shall see, there is kind of a nous, okay, the Greek word for spirit, the local mood or spirit, really. And I mean, I know Paris. I want to say that I know Paris because Paris is one of those cities. There's a number of them in the world, in my opinion, that you can never really know, unless you're a local. And even being a local, I think, even if you live in Paris all your life, you're gonna need half a lifetime to properly know it, to be able to say, I know this place. I've done it, I've done Paris. I know it. I mean, the first city on that list of special cities that require all that knowledge, to me, is Rome. Objectively, it has to be Rome. And I think I can say that 90% of Romans indeed won't be able to really, really know Rome over the course of their lifetime. because Rome is just unique, and Paris is an excellent copycat of Rome. You know, if you know a bit about history, about art and whatever, you will have noticed that Paris, although that's not the only place, but Paris has copied Rome in many aspects. So it's an excellent, very decent copycat of Rome, which takes a lot of time to be discovered. I hope I've offended enough Parisians and French by saying that Paris is a copycat of Rome. Anyway, I've been to Paris many times, like I said, over a long period of time, in different periods, different eras. The first visits go back to the late 80s, when I used to go to Paris with my dad. My family lived in Brussels. My dad was a big lover of Paris, rightly so. And so he would take me there, me and the family, to Paris for a long weekend. We would take the train. Back then there was the slow train. I mean slow by today's standards. It was a normal train. It took 3 hours to get there. But then that train has been replaced with the high-speed train in the early 90s, which takes 3 times as little time, which is great, but that's the only good thing about it, in my opinion, because high-speed trains are extremely boring, I think. I don't know if you've ever been on a high-speed train, or specifically maybe on a French high-speed train, but my God, do people consider themselves as world stars on those trains or what? You know, they are comfortable, there's air conditioning, there's all the services you need. So, you know, be a bit happy about that fact, you know? No, people on high-speed trains, they will just not make any eye contact with you, basically, for the duration of the journey, which is only 1 hour now between Brussels and Paris. So if it's not too much to ask, you could at least grant me with 2 words, I don't know, or a smile. I'm not asking for much, you know. But no, you're not gonna get that. And no. All they want is to pretend that they are very busy on their laptop or looking pensively, meditating while staring the otherwise very flat and uninteresting landscape, by the way, between Brussels and Paris, hoping to reach their destination as soon as possible so that they don't have to be in the presence of you anymore. Okay, I hope I summarized. Whereas, you know, the old trains, I mean, obviously I really like traveling by train, especially in Far East Asia. In Europe it's still much less fun, but a normal slow train can still be fun. And those trains back in the days between Paris and Brussels, or vice versa, they were trains with single booths, you know, with of 6 seats, you know, 3 seats facing each other. So of course interaction was quite easy, you know. And since the trip lasted 3 hours, you had a time to exchange a few words, a few thoughts. Anyway, I think high-speed train has made us all more Parisian, indeed. So let's get back to those snobbish, obnoxious Parisians there. Then, I've interacted with them in different instances over a long period. I mean, I used to go in those days, late 80s, early 90s, with my dad. Then I went back a few times as a student because I had friends who studied there. I went back as a young adult, as those same friends maybe had started working there. And now I'm going back from time to time because I have family. So I have family in Paris, so a visit is due from time to time. I mean, a visit to Paris is always due anyway. Family is just the excuse, I suppose. So I have a kind of a comprehensive idea also because I've interacted with them and with Parisians from different walks of life, you know. I mean, I've been to some exclusive New Year parties in the center, you know, at some rich kid's place in his daddy's Haussmannian apartment. And and there, maybe as expected, I've experienced a certain degree of snobbishness, towards outsiders, towards me and a couple of friends were clearly not Parisian, didn't belong to their world, and were very much made to understand that they weren't. But then I also experienced it with, what I would call second-tier Parisians. That's those Parisians who have been pushed to the outskirts of the city, because of course living in Paris is extremely expensive in Paris proper, the city, and unless you're okay with sharing 50 square meters with 2 or 3 other strangers. But those people who live outside of Paris, so were kind of looked down upon by the other Parisians, I suppose, but who in turn will kind of look down on you for not being a Parisian, And I guess that's a natural human behavior in the end, of looking down on the one that's just lower than you compared to the one that's looking down on you. Anyway, to cut it short, I suppose that my conclusion is that Parisians are indeed snobbish, obnoxious, okay? And I'm generalizing, all right? Because actually many of them are nice. I've had some interesting moments and exchanges with them. I mean, there's 10 million Parisians after all, okay? So surely some of them must be good, and probably a majority are too, I don't know. But it's the noose, It's that floating noose, Parisian noose, which you won't have in London or New York or other world cities. But the point is, yes, they are obnoxious. They have such an inflated ego, a complex of superiority, But yes, they are obnoxious, but they are the best at it. They are the very best at being obnoxious. They elevate obnoxiousness, rudeness, whatever you want to call it. I still cannot really put a name on it. They elevate that thing to an art. Okay? Nobody comes close. Nobody can reach that level. They have taken it to the next level, to the level of art, indeed, in my opinion. And for that, I salute them. I think we should all salute them. We should even respect them and maybe admire them. I definitely admire them for that. I have come to admire Parisian obnoxiousness. Because no one comes close. No one can do it that way. I mean, here in Italy we have Milan, okay? Milan is the financial capital of the country. Although it is smaller, it is less, polarizing than London or Paris in the UK or in France, because Italy is not a centralized country like those. But still, it is clearly the economical capital. It is the capital of fashion and design, so that attracts quite a few people who think high of themselves. Don't want to stereotype, but well, it is so. And if a Milanese starts being obnoxious, starts acting Parisian, it's just not credible, It's only, not to me at least, because I know them, and at best it's just gonna annoy me. It's just something that's gonna piss me off or frustrate me. For Parisians, I am in awe. Truly. I am in awe at their ability to take that thing to the next level. And I'm going to finish with a concrete example of this. I'm going to finish by explaining to you the very moment when I understood how much of an art this is. Okay, this happened a few years ago. I was in the middle of a Euro trip, let's call it, an interrail, I love traveling by train, as you may have guessed by now. I was traveling with my family through Europe. I think we were coming from Germany, I mean, from a long journey anyway. We had landed in Paris after maybe 10, 12 hours by train, and we were in the metro, in the Paris metro. Okay, so stereotypical scenario, and we were in the train, and my daughters, who were small at the time, maybe 4 and 6, were sitting on the bench in the train playing, playing cutely so, and kind of attracting attention also because I don't know, I think that may help too. Well, they were very cute, still are, but maybe because they're mixed as well, because my wife is Chinese, and so they have this this mixed race, which is an awful term, by the way, on which I should make a video. But anyway, they're both Asian and Caucasian, and they were sitting there playing. Next to them was my wife, and then facing her was a woman, and then I was standing up. I was with my backpack, holding the pole there in the metro, and all sweaty beside, because it was summer. So I was really rather disgusting, I suppose. Not super fresh looking, at least. And there was this woman, this young 20, late 20, early 30 Parisian, stereotypical Parisian, like just smart, I mean, they have that ability, and I have to give them credit for that, they are smart. They are just naturally smart. I mean, I could never be smart in the metro or maybe anywhere. I mean, just look at me now, for instance. But okay, she was there, this Parisian, sitting and facing, I mean, witnessing this little playful scene. And so she looked at my daughters, and I could see a smile, or the beginning of a smile, appearing on her face, as if to say, how cute those two little girls. And then she turned to my wife, and understanding that guessing that she was indeed the mom. And well, my wife is I don't know, she has good taste. She could be Parisian, I suppose. I don't know. She's pretty minimalist, essential in the way she dresses. She's a well-mannered person. She's East Asian after all. They have that thing. I mean, I don't know why I'm discussing about this, but anyway, she looked at my wife, and it looked as if she was thinking, oh, this must be the mom. That's nice. And then she turned towards me, okay, standing up there hovering above the scene, and she crossed my eyes. She gave me 1 second. She crossed my eyes for 1 second. Then she looked down, from up to down. She looked at my shoes and back up. Then she looked at the girls and back at me. All in 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3. Okay? And in those 3 seconds, she absolutely checked me. I mean, her face, when looking at me one last time, the second time, her face said exactly this. Oh, and this bum must be the dad. That's what it said. Exactly. Like, oh, how cute. Oh, that's the mum, I imagine. Oh, the bum. The bum who happens to be the dad as well, who happens to be related by mistake to these three charming creatures, That's exactly what she said in that one last look that checked me, that absolutely put me where I belonged, in the place that was mine, that is outside of the Paris cosmos, which is just unreachable for me. And she did it in such a perfect way, in such an incredibly Parisian way. that I was in awe. Indeed, I was just. I mean, the first reaction was, of course, shock. Annihilation. Because yeah, let's face it, I was expecting some recognition. I imagine. There was this sequence of events, and I was the third element in the sequence. I was there waiting for my own little moment of recognition with a stupid smile on my face, I imagine. And I didn't get it, so I felt crushed totally. But I felt crushed and I felt lost actually, because then then she looked elsewhere. She looked on her phone or whatever. She never crossed my eyes again. Although I was looking at her, I was searching for her eyes. I mean, because the trip wasn't finished. We still had a few more stops to go on the metro, and for the remainder of that journey, I kept searching for her eyes again. Please, you divine creature, grant me that attention, grant me that look, that supreme look, crush me one more time. I was asking her. That's what I was asking her, I guess. After the initial annihilation, I wanted to see the light again, but she was just not going to grant it to me, because that was it, because you have been checked by me, the Parisian lady, the superior being who can afford to be rude, obnoxious, or just downright cold to you. Face it, accept your fate, you inferior being. I mean, it is truly an art. It is truly an art that only the Parisian master. And that is why I think that it should somehow be be part of UNESCO's intangible heritage. I've thought about this. I mean, UNESCO classifies different kinds of heritages, should I say? I mean, there's monuments, historic sites, art, landscapes as well. Natural landscapes are particularly remarkable. And then there's also a category which is untangible or intangible, I don't know, heritage. And in that you have a number of customs, that are not tangible indeed. A number of things. I used to think that Napolitan dialect was part of UNESCO's intangible heritage, but actually it isn't. It's just been recognized as a language. It's been upgraded to the level of language, but it isn't something that receives intangible, that has received intangible heritage status. But anyways, to give you an idea what it is and why I think French obnoxiousness, which again is maybe not the right term, but that French thing should be part of it. Should be protected, acknowledged, protected, and cherished. Because it is such a unique thing, and I'm looking forward to going back to Paris and to witness it again, to relive that moment, that privileged moment. I think it should be a feature of Paris in the future. Yeah, it should be intangible material, so people should go there searching for that. I'm not saying they deserve it. I think you should search for it and be lucky enough, or good enough too. It's a mix of the two. It doesn't happen by accident. You need to meet the conditions at some point, and people should go to Paris looking for that as well. They should go to Paris for many reasons, obviously. Fantastic place, incredible city, but also to experience that pure, true Parisian obnoxiousness, as I've had the privilege to experience, and as I hope you also get the chance to experience. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. Yeah, let me know what you think. I hope you too can meet it someday, and yeah, and experience it and cherish it. Let me know if you're looking forward to it, maybe I can give you a few tips, a few more thoughts, because it's something that really deserves to be analyzed and studied in a much more thorough way, in my opinion. Until then, take care, and see you soon, hopefully. Bye bye.